The vastness of space was a canvas of infinite possibilities, a realm where the unknown lurked in every corner. Yet, amidst the endless expanse, a solitary figure drifted, a relic from a bygone era, a colossal human warship, its once proud form now weathered and forgotten. For centuries, the mighty vessel had been adrift, its systems in a state of dormancy, its crew long since turned to stardust. The ship's name, once a symbol of humanity's technological prowess, had become a mere whisper in the annals of history. But the universe was not done with this ancient relic. One fateful day, a curious scout ship from an advanced alien civilization stumbled upon the forgotten human warship, its massive silhouette cutting through the darkness like a forgotten specter. "Look at that, a relic from the primitive species," scoffed Xyloth, the captain of the alien vessel. "I didn't realize they had managed to venture this far into space." His co-pilot, Arana, studied the hulking structure with a mix of fascination and disdain. "It's ancient, no doubt. Probably not worth our time, but a cursory inspection might uncover some interesting insights into their limited technology." Xyloth let out a derisive laugh. Limited technology indeed. These humans were little more than scavengers, clinging to the scraps of their pathetic civilizations. This warship is nothing more than a rusting monument to their primitive ways. Arana hesitated, her scientific curiosity piqued. Still, it might be worth a closer look. Who knows, we might find something useful, even in this relic. Xyloth sighed, his patience waning. "Very well, but let's make it quick. I have no desire to linger in the presence of such antiquated relics." The alien scout ship approached the massive human warship, its sleek, futuristic design a stark contrast to the weathered, angular form of the ancient vessel. As they drew closer, the scale of the human relic became more apparent, its sheer size dwarfing the smaller alien craft. "Remarkable," Arana murmured, her fingers dancing across the ship's control panels as she scanned the warship's systems. "The structural integrity is still remarkably sound, considering its age. And the power systems, while primitive, appear to be in a state of dormancy, not complete failure." Xyloth rolled his eyes. Yes, very interesting. But what good is it? This ship is a fossil, a remnant of a long-dead civilization. Its technology is outdated, its weapons useless against our superior firepower. Arana frowned, her brow furrowing in concentration. "I'm not so sure. There may be more to this relic than meets the eye. The design and engineering are quite sophisticated, even by our standards. We should study it further." "Study it?" Xyloth scoffed. "Why bother? Let the humans' pitiful legacy drift in obscurity, where it belongs. We have far more pressing matters to attend to." Before Arana could protest, Xyloth had already turned the scout ship around, its engines propelling it away from the ancient human warship. Arana cast one last lingering look at the massive vessel, her curiosity burning brighter than ever. As the alien scout ship disappeared into the void, the human warship continued to drift, its systems in a state of dormancy, waiting for the day when it would be roused from its slumber. For the crew of the scout ship, the warship was nothing more than a forgotten relic, a testament to the limitations of a primitive species. Little did they know that the relic they had so casually dismissed held secrets that would soon shatter their very understanding of the universe. The alien scout ship had long since vanished, but the forgotten human warship continued to drift, its ancient systems silent and dormant. Yet, unbeknownst to the dismissive aliens, the warship harbored secrets that would soon challenge their very understanding of the universe. Arana, the young co-pilot of the scout ship, found herself unable to shake the image of the massive human vessel from her mind. Its sheer size and apparent resilience had piqued her scientific curiosity, and she couldn't help but wonder if there was more to this relic than met the eye. As the days passed, Arana's fascination only grew. She spent countless hours poring over the data they had gathered during their brief encounter, scrutinizing every detail, searching for clues that might unlock the warship's secrets. Her colleagues, however, remained firmly convinced that the human vessel was nothing more than a worthless remnant of a bygone era. Xyloth, the arrogant captain, scoffed at Arana's persistence, dismissing her curiosity as a waste of time. "Why do you insist on dwelling on this ancient relic?" he demanded, his brow furrowed in irritation. "Its technology is centuries behind our own. It poses no threat, and its only value lies in the historical insights it might provide." Arana refused to be deterred. "But don't you see, Captain? There's so much we don't know about the humans and their capabilities. This warship could hold the key to understanding a civilization we've long since dismissed as primitive." Xyloth let out a derisive laugh. "Primitive? My dear Arana, that is precisely what they were. Humans were barely able to venture beyond their own planet, let alone construct a warship of this scale. Whatever secrets this relic may hold, they are of little consequence to our society." Arana opened her mouth to protest, but Xyloth raised a hand, silencing her. "Enough. I've indulged your curiosity long enough. It's time to focus our efforts on more pressing matters. This human warship is nothing but a relic, a remnant of a bygone age. It's time to let it drift back into obscurity, where it belongs." Dejected, Arana watched as Xyloth turned his attention to other matters, leaving her questions unanswered. Yet, deep within her, a spark of determination refused to be extinguished. She knew that there was more to the human warship than the others were willing to see. Under the cover of night, when the rest of the crew had retired to their quarters, Arana slipped away, making her way to the ship's remote observation deck. There, she gazed out into the vast expanse of space, her eyes fixed on the distant silhouette of the human warship. "There's something special about you," she whispered, her fingers tracing the contours of the observation window. "I can feel it. You're not just a relic. You're a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of your creators." With a deep breath, Arana turned her attention to the ship's systems, her fingers dancing across the controls as she accessed the data they had gathered during their previous encounter. Slowly, methodically, she began to uncover new insights, clues that hinted at the true nature of the human warship. As she delved deeper, Arana's eyes widened in wonder. The structural integrity of the vessel was far more advanced than she had initially realized, and the power systems, while primitive, were still functional, capable of being reactivated with the right intervention. "Remarkable," she breathed, a small smile tugging at the corners of her lips. "The humans were far more capable than we ever gave them credit for." Arana's excitement, however, was short-lived as a warning light began to flash on the console, accompanied by a faint hum that steadily grew in volume. Alarm coursing through her veins, she watched in stunned silence as the human warship's systems suddenly sprang to life, its long-dormant engines roaring to life with a power that belied its age. "By the stars," Arana whispered, her heart pounding in her chest. "What have I done?" As the warship's massive form began to move, the young alien scientist knew that she had unwittingly set in motion a chain of events that would forever alter the course of her civilization. The relic they had so casually dismissed was about to prove them all wrong, and the consequences would be far-reaching. The sudden reanimation of the ancient human warship sent shockwaves through the nearby alien outpost, where Xyloth and the rest of the crew were caught off guard by the unexpected turn of events. Arana, the young scientist who had inadvertently triggered the warship's systems, stood frozen in the observation deck, her eyes fixed on the massive vessel as it slowly came to life. The hum of its engines, once dormant for centuries, now echoed through the void, a deafening reminder of the power that lay within. "What's happening?" Xyloth's voice crackled over the ship's communication channel, laced with a mixture of confusion and alarm. "Arana, report. How did the human vessel reactivate?" Arana swallowed hard, her mind racing to formulate a response. I'm not sure, Captain. I was simply studying the data we gathered, and then the systems just came online. I didn't mean to." "Enough excuses," Xyloth snapped. "Get back to the bridge immediately. We need to assess the situation and determine the appropriate course of action. Nodding shakily, Arana tore her gaze away from the reawakening warship and hurried back to the bridge, her heart pounding in her chest. As she entered the control room, all eyes turned to her, the crew's expressions a mix of confusion and trepidation. "Well," Xyloth demanded, his brow furrowed in a deep scowl. "What have you discovered?" Arana took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. "The human warship's systems are far more advanced than we realized. It seems that despite its age, there were safeguards in place to prevent the complete degradation of its core functions." Xyloth's lips curled in a sneer. Safeguards? Preposterous. These humans were barely capable of interstellar travel, let alone constructing a warship with such sophisticated technology. "But the data doesn't lie, Captain," Arana insisted, her voice rising with urgency. "The structural integrity, the power systems, even the weapons capabilities, they're all far more advanced than anything we've encountered from this civilization before." The crew murmured amongst themselves, their expressions a mix of disbelief and unease. Xyloth's gaze narrowed, his fingers drumming on the console as he considered Arana's words. "If what you say is true," he said slowly, "then this relic poses a far greater threat than we imagined. We must neutralize it before it becomes a liability." Arana's eyes widened, her heart sinking. "Neutralize it? But Captain, think of the potential." "I've heard enough," Xyloth interrupted, his tone brooking no argument. "Prepare the fleet. We'll destroy this human warship before it can become a problem." As the order was relayed, the crew sprang into action, their fingers dancing across the consoles as they prepared the alien vessels for battle. Arana watched, her stomach in knots, as the massive warships began to converge on the reawakening human vessel. Deep within the ancient ship's core, the systems continued to hum to life, systems that had lain dormant for centuries, now reactivating with a speed and efficiency that belied their age. Sensors scanned the approaching alien fleet, and the warship's defensive protocols kicked in, its weapons systems powering up with a menacing whir. Arana's breath caught in her throat as she watched the display, her mind racing. "No, this can't be happening. I have to stop them before it's too late." Without a moment's hesitation, she dashed from the bridge, ignoring Xyloth's shouts of protest. Racing through the corridors, she made her way to the observation deck, her eyes fixed on the growing conflict unfolding in the distance. "Please," she whispered, her fingers pressing against the observation window. "Don't let this be the end of the human's legacy." As the alien fleet opened fire, the human warship responded with a display of power that left the crew in awe. Its shields held firm, deflecting the barrage of weapons, and its own armaments unleashed a devastating counterattack, striking with a precision and fury that belied its age. Arana watched, her heart pounding, as the battle raged on. She knew that her actions had set this chain of events in motion, and she could only hope that the humans' resilience would prove strong enough to overcome the onslaught. The fate of two civilizations now hung in the balance, and the young alien scientist found herself caught in the middle, her loyalties torn between the dismissive views of her own kind and the untapped potential of the human relic that had so captivated her. The battle between the alien fleet and the reawakened human warship raged on, a clash of ancient and modern technology that shook the very fabric of space. As the alien vessels unleashed a barrage of weaponry, the human warship responded with a display of power that left its opponents reeling. Arana, the young alien scientist, watched the conflict unfold from the observation deck, her heart pounding in her chest. She had inadvertently set this chain of events in motion, and she now found herself torn between the dismissive views of her own kind and the untapped potential of the human relic that had so captivated her. "How is this possible?" Xyloth's voice echoed through the communication channel, tinged with a mixture of disbelief and frustration. "Our weapons should be overwhelming that outdated husk of a ship." Arana's fingers danced across the console, her eyes fixed on the tactical display as she analyzed the warship's performance. "The human vessel's shields are holding, Captain. Its weapon systems are also proving to be far more advanced than we anticipated. Xyloth's response was laced with a barely contained anger. Impossible. This ship is a relic, a fossil from a bygone era. It shouldn't be able to withstand our assault, let alone mount an effective counterattack. Arana hesitated, her mind racing as she considered the implications of what she was witnessing. Captain, I believe we may have underestimated the capabilities of the humans. Their engineering and technological prowess seem to far exceed what we've encountered before. The alien fleet continued to bombard the human warship, but the ancient vessel held its ground, its shields shimmering with each impact. The alien weapons, once considered overwhelming, seemed to barely scratch the surface of the human vessel's defenses. Xyloth's jaw tightened, his knuckles white as he gripped the edge of the console. Unacceptable. Increase the firepower. We must destroy this relic before it becomes a threat to our civilization. The order was relayed, and the alien ships unleashed a barrage of even more powerful weapons, their energy beams and missiles converging on the human warship. Yet, to the growing horror of the alien crew, the vessel continued to withstand the assault, its own countermeasures striking back with devastating precision. Arana watched in awe as the human warship's systems seamlessly adapted to the changing tactics, its targeting algorithms anticipating the alien fleet's movements and responding with pinpoint accuracy. It was as if the vessel itself possessed a sentient intelligence, a will to survive that defied the passage of time. It's learning, Arana whispered, the realization dawning on her. The human warship is analyzing our tactics and adjusting its own responses accordingly. Xyloth's face contorted in a mixture of rage and fear. Impossible. Nothing from this primitive civilization should be able to match our advanced technology. We must retreat and regroup, gather a larger force to overwhelm this relic once and for all. As the alien fleet began to fall back, the human warship surged forward, its massive engines propelling it with a speed that belied its age. Arana's eyes widened as she watched the vessel's movements, her mind racing to understand the implications. "No, Captain, don't retreat," she pleaded, her voice rising with urgency. "If we give the human warship time to recover, it may be able to track our movements and pursue us. We need to maintain the offensive, capitalize on its weaknesses before it can adapt further." Xyloth's glare was withering, but Arana refused to back down. "Have you gone mad, Arana? That ship is a relic, a fossil from a bygone age. It should not be able to match our technology, let alone outmaneuver our fleet." "But it is, Captain," Arana insisted, her eyes filled with a determined light. "The humans were more advanced than we ever imagined. We cannot underestimate them again. If we retreat now, we may be putting our entire civilization at risk." The bridge erupted in a cacophony of voices as the crew debated the best course of action. Xyloth's expression darkened, his mind clearly wrestling with the implications of Arana's words. Finally, with a resigned sigh, he turned to the young scientist, his gaze reluctant but resolute. "Very well, Arana. We'll maintain the offensive, but at the first sign of trouble, we retreat. I will not risk our entire civilization on the whims of a primitive relic." Arana nodded, her heart swelling with a mixture of relief and trepidation. The fate of two civilizations now hung in the balance, and she knew that the next few moments would determine whether the human warship's legacy would endure or be consigned to the annals of history. As the alien fleet regrouped and renewed its assault on the human warship, Arana watched the battle unfold with a mixture of awe and trepidation. The ancient vessel, once dismissed as a worthless relic, was now proving to be a formidable adversary, its systems adapting and evolving with each passing moment. Xyloth, the captain of the alien fleet, gritted his teeth in frustration as his ship's weapons continued to pound against the warship's shields, inflicting only minimal damage. "How is this possible?" he growled, his fists clenched tightly. "Their technology should be no match for ours." Arana, her eyes fixed on the tactical display, could hardly believe what she was witnessing. "The human vessel is learning, Captain," she said, her voice tinged with a sense of wonder. "It's analyzing our tactics and adjusting its defensive and offensive maneuvers accordingly. It's as if the ship itself possesses a form of sentience, an intelligence that we've never encountered before." Xyloth shot her a withering glance, his lips curling in a sneer. Sentience? Impossible. These humans were barely capable of interstellar travel, let alone creating a warship with such advanced capabilities. There must be some other explanation. Arana opened her mouth to protest, but the sudden flurry of activity on the bridge cut her off. The human warship, having weathered the initial onslaught, had now launched its own devastating counterattack, its weapons striking with pinpoint accuracy and overwhelming the alien fleet's defenses. "Shields down on the Vanguard. We're taking heavy damage," one of the crew members shouted, his fingers flying across the console. Xyloth's face paled, his expression a mix of shock and disbelief. "Impossible. How can this relic be so powerful?" Arana watched, her heart pounding, as the human warship continued its relentless assault, its systems working in perfect harmony to overwhelm the alien vessels. She had never imagined that the humans, a civilization she had been taught to dismiss as primitive, could possess such advanced and adaptable technology. As the battle raged on, Arana found herself torn between her loyalty to her own people and her growing respect for the ingenuity and resilience of the human race. She knew that the fate of both civilizations hung in the balance, and she could no longer ignore the implications of the warship's capabilities. Steeling her resolve, Arana stepped forward, her voice cutting through the chaos of the bridge. "Captain, we need to reconsider our approach. Clearly, the humans possess technological capabilities that far exceed our understanding. We cannot continue to underestimate them or their ancient warship." Xyloth's eyes narrowed, his gaze filled with a mixture of anger and uncertainty. "What are you suggesting, Arana? That we surrender to this relic? Betray our own people?" "No, not surrender," Arana replied, her tone calm and measured. "But we must adapt our tactics, study the human warship more closely. Perhaps we can learn from them. Find a way to coexist peacefully instead of fighting a losing battle." The bridge fell silent, the crew members exchanging nervous glances as they waited for Xyloth's response. The captain's expression darkened, and for a moment, Arana feared that he would dismiss her words outright. But then, something shifted in Xyloth's demeanor, a flicker of understanding that caught Arana off guard. "You make a valid point, Arana," he said, his voice low and contemplative. "We have been so quick to dismiss the humans, to assume their technological inferiority. Perhaps it is time we reevaluate our assumptions." Arana's eyes widened, her heart swelling with a sense of hope. "Then you'll consider a different approach, Captain." Xyloth nodded slowly, his gaze fixed on the relentless onslaught of the human warship. "Yes, Arana. We will call a ceasefire and attempt to establish communication with the humans. If they are truly as advanced as their vessel suggests, then we may have much to learn from them." As the order was relayed, the alien fleet began to disengage, their weapons powering down as they held their position. Arana watched, her breath caught in her throat, as the human warship's barrage slowly subsided, its systems returning to a state of readiness. In that moment, Arana knew that the course of history had been altered. The dismissive attitude towards the humans and their relic had been shattered, replaced by a newfound respect and a desire to understand the true nature of their technological prowess. The young scientist's heart was filled with a mix of trepidation and hope, for the outcome of this encounter would not only determine the fate of her own civilization, but also the future of the human legacy, a legacy that had once been so casually discarded. As the alien fleet disengaged and the human warship ceased its relentless assault, an uneasy silence settled over the battlefield. Arana, the young scientist who had inadvertently triggered the reawakening of the ancient vessel, watched with bated breath, her eyes fixed on the massive human ship. Xyloth, the captain of the alien fleet, stood motionless on the bridge, his expression a mix of uncertainty and grudging respect. The power and adaptability displayed by the human warship had shattered his preconceptions, forcing him to reevaluate his long-held beliefs about the capabilities of humanity. "Hail the human vessel," Xyloth ordered, his voice steady but tinged with a hint of trepidation. "We wish to establish contact and discuss a peaceful resolution to this confrontation." Arana felt a surge of relief, her heart racing as the communication channel crackled to life. She had hoped that Xyloth would be willing to consider a diplomatic approach, and now her gamble had paid off. The bridge fell silent as they waited for a response from the human warship. Seconds ticked by, seemingly like an eternity, until a voice, deep, resonant, and tinged with a hint of cautious curiosity, echoed through the speakers. "This is the human vessel Endurance. We hear your message, but we remain wary of your intentions. What do you propose?" Xyloth exchanged a glance with Arana, his brow furrowed in thought. We wish to discuss a peaceful coexistence, to learn from one another and forge a new understanding between our civilizations." A brief pause, then the response came, its tone measured and calculating. "Your people have already demonstrated their willingness to destroy us. Why should we trust your offer of peace?" Arana stepped forward, her voice steady and her gaze unwavering. "Because we have come to realize that we have gravely underestimated your civilization and its technological capabilities. The human warship you command has proven to be a formidable adversary, one that has forced us to reevaluate our preconceptions." Another pause, and then the voice replied, a hint of curiosity seeping through. "Go on, we're listening." Xyloth cleared his throat, his pride visibly struggling to accept the situation. We wish to learn from you, to understand the depth of your engineering and strategic prowess. Your warship has shown capabilities that far exceed anything we've encountered before. If we could establish a dialogue, perhaps we could forge a new alliance, one that benefits both our peoples." The silence that followed was palpable, and Arana found herself holding her breath, her fingers crossed in silent prayer. The fate of two civilizations now hung in the balance, and she knew that the next few moments would be crucial. Finally, the voice responded, its tone cautious but no longer outright hostile. "We will consider your proposal. However, we require a demonstration of your good faith before we can agree to any further negotiations." Xyloth glanced at Arana, his expression unreadable. The young scientist nodded, her eyes filled with a renewed sense of hope. "Name your terms," Xyloth said, his voice tinged with a hint of resignation. "Withdraw your fleet from this sector and leave us be," the voice replied. "Prove that your offer of peace is sincere, and we will be open to further discussions." Xyloth hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Very well. We will withdraw our ships and await your response." As the alien fleet began to pull back, Arana felt a surge of relief wash over her. The confrontation had been intense, but she had never given up hope that a peaceful resolution could be found. "You were right, Arana," Xyloth said, his gaze fixed on the retreating vessels. "We were too quick to dismiss the humans and their capabilities. This encounter has opened our eyes to the true depth of their ingenuity and resilience." Arana smiled, her heart swelling with a sense of pride and accomplishment. "Indeed, Captain. The humans are a remarkable civilization, one that we have much to learn from. I'm hopeful that this newfound understanding will lead to a fruitful collaboration between our peoples." Xyloth nodded, his expression thoughtful. "Time will tell, Arana. Time will tell." As the alien fleet disappeared into the distance, the human warship Endurance remained steadfast, its systems humming with a quiet power that belied its ancient origins. The future of both civilizations now hung in the balance, and the path forward would undoubtedly be filled with challenges and surprises. But Arana, for one, was eager to embark on this new journey of discovery, her curiosity and respect for the human legacy burning brighter than ever before. As the alien fleet withdrew from the sector, the human warship Endurance remained steadfast, its massive form a silent sentinel in the endless expanse of space. The confrontation had been a pivotal moment, one that had shattered the preconceptions of both civilizations and set the stage for a new chapter in their interstellar relations. Arana, the young alien scientist who had inadvertently triggered the reawakening of the human vessel, watched the retreating ships with a mixture of relief and anticipation. She knew that the path ahead would be fraught with challenges, but the potential for a lasting peace and a fruitful collaboration between their peoples had never been more palpable. Within the Endurance's bridge, the human crew, long adrift and presumed lost, had awakened from their centuries-long slumber, their eyes filled with a renewed sense of purpose. They had witnessed the might of their ancient vessel, its systems adapting and responding with a fluidity that defied the ravages of time, and they were determined to use this power to protect the legacy of their civilization. As the Endurance's captain, a seasoned veteran named Amara, studied the data from the recent engagement, her brow furrowed in contemplation. The aliens' withdrawal is a promising sign, but we must remain vigilant. Their proposal of peace may yet be a deception. One of the junior officers, a young man named Kiran, stepped forward, his eyes alight with a sense of cautious optimism. "Captain, if their offer is sincere, this could be an opportunity to establish contact with a new civilization and potentially forge an alliance. Imagine the knowledge and resources we could gain from such a partnership." Amara considered his words, her gaze thoughtful. "You make a fair point, Kiran. However, we cannot forget the initial hostility we faced. The aliens' dismissive attitude towards our vessel and their willingness to attack without provocation is a concerning precedent." Kiran nodded, his expression sobering. "Understandable, Captain. But perhaps this encounter has also made them reconsider their preconceptions about us. If we approach this with caution and diplomacy, we may be able to find common ground and build a lasting rapport." Amara's lips quirked in a small smile, her respect for the younger officer's insight growing. "You make a compelling argument, Kiran. Very well, we shall heed the aliens' request and await their response. In the meantime, I want all systems maintained at the highest level of readiness. We cannot afford to be caught off guard again." As the crew set to work, Amara turned her gaze towards the distant stars, her mind racing with the implications of this newfound encounter. The human warship Endurance had once been a forgotten relic, a testament to a civilization that had long since faded into obscurity. But now it stood as a symbol of humanity's resilience, a beacon of hope that had captured the attention of an advanced alien race. Arana, having observed the exchange on the Endurance's bridge, felt a surge of pride and admiration for the human crew. Their composure in the face of adversity, their determination to protect their legacy, and their willingness to consider a diplomatic solution. All of these qualities had left a profound impression on the young alien scientist. As she made her way back to the alien fleet's command center, Arana knew that her own role in this unfolding drama would continue to evolve. She had already challenged the dismissive attitudes of her peers, and now she would need to be a bridge between the two civilizations, a conduit for understanding and cooperation. Zaloth, the alien captain, greeted her with a nod, his expression thoughtful. "The human vessel has agreed to our terms, and the fleet has withdrawn as promised. Now, the ball is in their court." Arana nodded, her mind whirring with possibilities. "Indeed, Captain. But I have a feeling that this is only the beginning of a much larger story. The humans have proven themselves to be far more capable than we ever imagined, and I believe that their legacy will continue to shape the course of events in this sector and beyond." Xyloth's brow furrowed, a hint of uncertainty flickering in his gaze. "You may be right, Arana. This encounter has opened our eyes to the true potential of the human civilization. It is a humbling realization, and one that will undoubtedly have far-reaching consequences." As the two officers continued to discuss the implications of their newfound understanding, the Endurance remained in its position, a silent sentinel guarding the secrets of a bygone era. The human warship, once dismissed as a worthless relic, had become a symbol of humanity's resilience, a testament to the ingenuity and determination of a people who had refused to be forgotten. The future, it seemed, was poised to be shaped by the legacy of this ancient vessel, and the echoes of its reawakening would reverberate through the stars for generations to come. As the days turned into weeks, the tension between the human warship Endurance and the retreating alien fleet slowly began to ease. Orana, the young alien scientist, had been the bridge between the two civilizations, facilitating cautious communication and laying the groundwork for a potential diplomatic breakthrough. On the bridge of the Endurance, the human crew watched the distant alien vessels with a mix of apprehension and curiosity. Captain Amara, her eyes narrowed in contemplation, spoke softly to her officers, her words laced with a hint of uncertainty. The aliens have upheld their promise thus far, but we must remain vigilant. Their offer of peace may yet be a facade, a ploy to lull us into a false sense of security. Hiran, the junior officer who had advocated for a diplomatic approach, stepped forward, his expression thoughtful. Captain, I understand your concerns, but we cannot afford to dismiss this opportunity. The knowledge and resources we could gain from a cooperative relationship with the aliens could be invaluable to the future of our people. Amara nodded, her gaze softening slightly. You make a fair point, Kiran. However, the scars of our past encounters still linger. We cannot forget the disdain and hostility they once displayed towards our vessel. Kiran opened his mouth to respond, but a chime from the communications console interrupted him. Orana's face appeared on the view screen, her expression a mix of apprehension and excitement. Captain Amara, I bring a message from the alien leadership. They request a meeting to discuss the terms of a potential alliance. Amara's brow furrowed, her fingers drumming pensively on the armrest of her chair. An alliance, you say? After their initial aggression, I find it difficult to trust their motives. Orana's gaze was steady, her voice calm and measured. I understand your reservations, Captain, but I believe they are sincere in their desire for peace and cooperation. The encounter with your vessel has forced them to reevaluate their preconceptions about humanity. Kiran stepped forward, his eyes alight with cautious optimism. Captain, if we refuse this opportunity, we may be missing out on a chance to forge a lasting relationship with a technologically advanced civilization. Surely the potential rewards outweigh the risks. Amara remained silent for a moment, her gaze sweeping across the faces of her crew. She could see the yearning in their eyes, the desire to reclaim their lost legacy and forge new connections with the stars. With a deep breath, she nodded, her decision made. Very well, Orana. Convey our willingness to meet with the alien leadership, but make it clear that we will not tolerate any further acts of aggression or deception. The fate of our people hangs in the balance. Orana's face broke into a relieved smile. Understood, Captain Amara. I will relay your message immediately. Thank you for your trust. As the communication channel closed, Amara turned to her crew, her expression solemn. This is a pivotal moment, my friends. The choices we make in the days and weeks to come will echo through the annals of history. We must be vigilant, yet open to the possibility of a new and better future. The crew nodded, their faces a mix of determination and trepidation. They knew that the path ahead would be fraught with challenges, but the promise of a brighter tomorrow, one where their ancient vessel and its secrets could be the key to a lasting alliance, was too tempting to ignore. In the days that followed, as the Endurance and the alien fleet met to negotiate the terms of their potential partnership, the consequences of the reawakening began to ripple through the galaxy. News of the human warship's capabilities spread like wildfire, captivating the imagination of other civilizations and drawing the attention of opportunistic factions. Orana, her role as a diplomatic envoy now firmly established, found herself caught in the crosshairs of competing interests. She had to navigate the delicate balance of fostering trust and cooperation between the humans and the aliens, all while fending off those who sought to exploit the situation for their own gain. The young scientist's resolve was tested time and again, but her unwavering commitment to the pursuit of knowledge and the preservation of peace never wavered. She knew that the future of both civilizations hung in the balance, and she was determined to see this through, no matter the cost. As the negotiations continued, the echoes of the human warship's reawakening resounded across the stars, forever altering the course of interstellar relations. The legacy of the Endurance and its long-lost human crew had been rescued from the clutches of obscurity, and now it stood as a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of resilience and the indomitable spirit of humanity. The negotiations between the human warship Endurance and the alien fleet had been arduous, filled with moments of tension and hard-fought compromises. But in the end, a historic alliance was forged, one that would shape the course of interstellar relations for generations to come. Arana, the young alien scientist who had played a pivotal role in bringing the two civilizations together, stood on the bridge of the Endurance, her gaze fixed on the stars that glimmered in the vast expanse of space. The weight of the responsibility she now carried was a heavy burden, but one she was determined to bear. Captain Amara approached her, a faint smile playing on her lips. "You've done well, Arana. Your persistence and diplomatic skills have been crucial in bridging the divide between our peoples." Arana turned to face the human captain, her expression filled with a mix of pride and humility. "I was merely following the path that fate had laid before me, Captain. The true heroes are the brave souls who manned this vessel, preserving the legacy of humanity against all odds." Amara nodded, her eyes shining with respect. "Indeed, and now that legacy will live on, not just in the annals of history, but in the very fabric of our shared future." The two women stood in companionable silence, watching as the alien fleet maneuvered into formation, its sleek vessels now bearing the insignia of the newly forged alliance. It was a sight that would have been unimaginable just a few short months ago, when the humans' ancient warship had been so casually dismissed as a relic of a bygone era. "Do you ever wonder, Arana," Amara said softly, "what might have become of our people if we had been discovered sooner? If the humans had not been forced to hibernate for centuries, waiting for the day when their legacy would be reclaimed?" Arana considered the question, her brow furrowing in contemplation. "I suspect the outcome would have been quite different, Captain. The dismissive attitude of my people towards your civilization was a grave mistake, one that nearly led to the destruction of a remarkable legacy." Amara nodded, her gaze drifting towards the distant horizon. "And now, that legacy will shape the future of both our peoples. The knowledge and technology we can share, the alliances we can forge, the possibilities are limitless." Arana's lips curved into a smile, her eyes shining with a newfound sense of purpose. "Precisely. The human warship Endurance has become a symbol of hope, a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of your kind. Its reawakening has opened the door to a new era of cooperation and discovery." The young alien scientist turned to Amara, her expression solemn. "Captain, I want you to know that I am honored to be a part of this journey. The sacrifices made by your crew, the determination they displayed in the face of adversity, it is truly humbling. I will do everything in my power to ensure that their legacy lives on, and that the alliance we forged endures for generations to come." Amara's eyes shone with a silent gratitude, and she reached out to gently squeeze Arana's shoulder. "We are grateful for your unwavering support, Arana. Together, we will forge a path towards a brighter future, one that will inspire countless others to reach for the stars." As the two women turned their gaze back to the stars, a new sense of purpose and hope filled the air. The human warship Endurance, once a forgotten relic, had become a beacon of inspiration, a symbol of the indomitable spirit of humanity. In the years that followed, the alliance between the humans and the aliens would grow stronger, forged through a shared commitment to discovery, innovation, and the pursuit of knowledge. The technological and scientific advancements that would arise from this partnership would ripple through the galaxy, transforming the very fabric of interstellar civilization. And at the heart of it all, the Endurance would remain a constant, a living testament to the power of resilience and the enduring legacy of a people who had refused to be forgotten. The ancient warship would serve as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit could rise and reclaim its rightful place among the stars. For Arana, and the countless others who had witnessed the reawakening of the Endurance, the journey ahead was one filled with endless possibilities. The future they now faced was one of hope, of unity, and of a shared destiny that would echo through the ages, forever shaping the course of the galaxy.